Hey everybody, it's Sophie from Hotspot, and we're back with episode 4 of Hot Takes. Today we're going to be talking about Counter-Strike and Valorant, which is why I've got Dan and Lee with me. How are you guys doing today?
I'm very
Not
tired,
bad.
but I'm happy to
Yeah,
be here.
I'm lucky. I'm an hour.
Yeah,
I'm an hour ahead of you guys, so I'm not as tired. So
that's
I'm
it.
alright.
There's nothing like getting Counter-Strike fans out of bed at 9 a.m. on a bank holiday morning to
We are
talk about it.
famously early risers.
That's it. What time were you up till last night? It was a cool 9 o'clock, right?
Oh, so I was following the MRQs last night. So I had to write something about all the qualified teams. Last game didn't end until about 2:30. So
Great. Feeling so sprightly this morning.
I'm used to it.
Okay, so you've just spent the whole time watching the MRQs. What's your hot take for me this week, Dan?
Well, my hot take actually isn't about the MRQs, but we will come back to that.
Okay.
But my hot take is about Melbourne, and I think that this could be the event where we start to see cracks in Mao's.
Really?
I do, yeah.
What makes you say that?
I just think I just don't believe in the brawling thing yet. Like, you just have to do it for longer, and
Yeah.
until then, I'll be predicting the downfall until it never comes. You know, I think
You're
it's
like
gonna
the
be
opposite of a caster curse.
yeah, yeah. Like, this event is supposed to be like a vitality wash. Like, realistically, everyone's expecting them to complete the ESL Grand Slam.
Mhm.
Like, Spirit were meant to be here, but they dropped out. I can't remember why they dropped out. Don't think they gave a reason.
No, I don't
But
think so.
in terms of, like, you look at the teams there, Navi, the Mongols, FaZe, they're not winning a trophy anytime soon. And beyond that, it's Falcons, really. And obviously, it's the first event with Monacy,
Mm,
which will be fascinating to watch. But again, it might just come a little bit too soon for them. So I am just
potentially so.
expecting Vitality to sort of walk over it. And last time out between Vitality and Mars, I think it was Pro League, the final. Yeah, Pro League. It finished
Yeah.
3-2, so it was sort of the closest that those two teams had come to one another. But I think that was their best chance to sort of actually get one over on Vitality. I don't think that'll continue.
It just seems to be that Vitality is the only consistent team in Counter-Strike at the moment. Like,
Yeah,
there's nobody else. Everyone else is just rolling the dice every single series to see, like,
yeah.
are they actually gonna click heads or not? I guess Falcons is interesting because obviously Monazi has played with Nico before for quite a long time and like had a lot of success there, but I don't know that that duo is like the reason that G2 was successful.
Yeah, I mean, G2 were a well-functioning team, but with Nico and Monacy, let's say there is 4 players that will consist in the entire world that consistently win you games, like by themselves. That's Donk, Zywoo, Nico, and Monacy. You put 2 of them on the same team, and you're cooking something. So I don't think this is the final version of the lineup. I think there's probably 2 more changes there you make. But
We're gonna ask you which
Falcons,
ones.
I think TSS will go. I think that's going to be Kisuke from Spirit Academy. I think that's pretty set in stone from after the major.
Hmm.
And I think if they don't find success with that lineup, I think they'll change kicks and I think they'll change the IGL and roll the dice again. With Magisk, you know, it's if you can get the best of him, you get the best in the world in his position. So I think you just keep rolling the dice on him and hoping he finds form. But yeah, when you've got 2 players that can single-handedly win your matches, like, you're just in with a chance of every tournament.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I guess I know we've talked about this before about how Falcons are essentially just buying their way to the win.
Yeah.
And I cannot imagine Monazi came cheap, right?
The rumour, so he had 8 months left on his contract, so it ended at the end of this year, and they spent $2.5 million,
Fucking hell.
is the rumour. So
Jeez.
from what I'm aware of, it is the biggest transfer in Counter-Strike history. But there's a reason they pay that money, not just because they want to buy success, but because they're getting like a superstar in terms of Counter-Strike. Like,
That's it. Is this the
and
biggest transfer in esports history? I'm struggling to
possibly,
think.
Money-wise,
Yeah.
in League of Legends, perks from G2 to Cloud9 was very big. Like, probably, I can't remember how much exactly was the buyout, but the rumors were that like the buyout plus the contract over however many years was like 11 million altogether.
oh wow,
Actually, God knows what money Munazy will be on at Falcons. Like that could easily be a similar kind of thing. But I think the buyout was roughly the same, a couple million or so, when it was like the peak of all the like the VC money and all that a few years ago.
That's
I
crazy.
mean, in this day and age, like esports winter times, that money is like even more ridiculous.
yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah, that's exactly it.
with Falcons, it literally comes on the back of a tournament win. The guy that he's replacing gets the MVP. Like,
Yeah.
like poor Dexter, man. Like,
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
I'm sure he's done enough to find his footing somewhere else, and you know he's not stupid. He'll definitely understand exactly why they've replaced him with Monacy, because it's Monacy. But like, yeah, it is nonsense.
I think
Like,
it's actually a really good punch in the face to them, to be honest. Like, nice job, Dexter.
like the first
Munazy
trophy.
performed in the final against Falcons when he was a few days of going there.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't missing any dodgy shots or nothing, no?
No. There was not. He actually played quite well actually, but he'd because they announced it the day after. He had filmed all the media in a Falcons jersey and stuff, knowing full well that he'd have to go up against them. But I did see someone on Reddit raise an interesting thing about conflict of interest. There's obviously nothing really you can do about it. It happens in sports all the time, but obviously the VRS implications. Obviously Counter-Strike is now based on invites, based on points, based on wins. You're sort of incentivized to lose that match to keep getting invites with the new team, but it's sort of unavoidable, to be honest with you.
That's it. I mean, if the play wasn't questionable, then, it sort of
No,
is
he
what
was
it is.
fine.
But
Yeah, but
I'm glad to see that. I actually I know that a lot of people have a lot of thoughts about Dexter, but I really like him. I think he's really charismatic.
yeah,
When I was at the Thunderpick World Championship last year, I was doing a media day when he was with Heroic. And I was just stood outside behind him, and he was talking about how much he hates doing media. Like, he was like, "Oh, I just have to be here the whole time." And then he turned around and saw me and just went, "Not you!" And he apologized and was like, "I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "It's literally fine, man. We're just doing a job." Like,
I'm pretty sure that's what they all, basically every
Yeah.
player feels anyway. We know it.
you can get a sense of it when you speak to them. Who doesn't
absolutely.
mind?
Yeah. So I think we can pretty much establish that that Vitality are going to take this Melbourne. I mean, I'm looking
have
at the
to.
groups. I just don't see. I mean, I don't see much competition over the entire tournament. But their first matchups, it's going to be super easy. They got FlyQuest in round one, winner of Virtus.pro and Team Liquid. There's no one here that I'm expecting an upset from.
No.
That's it. So with the major, I was just saying before we started filming that I actually didn't get to watch any of the MRQs, so I missed all of the drama. So catch me up
Okay.
with the tea.
So the main storyline that is the only thing really worth discussing is Astralis missing out on their 5th consecutive major. So I think what's important is to sort of contextualize sort of what had to happen for them to miss this major. So they went to PGL Bucharest, and in the VRS standings, they looked secure to get an invite to stage 2. It's basically impossible for you not to.
Yeah, that was the last I heard. Okay.
So what they do is they go to PGL Bucharest. They not only do they bomb out, they lose 2-3 and go out, but the teams
Okay.
they lose to are 3D Max, Apogee, like fucking Apogee, like a random Polish stack.
I was gonna say,
Like,
I don't think I'd even heard of them before
so
Bucharest.
yeah, I mean, Carrigan's wife is their sports psychologist actually, which is quite interesting.
Oh, cool.
And they had to play each other, which was quite funny. And then they lose to Virtus Pro to send them home. Virtus Pro go 3-2.
Okay.
Now that Virtus Pro 3-2, that Virtus Pro win is enough for when Astralis's VRS points have decayed. They've decayed to the point where they're below Virtus Pro, because Virtus Pro now go above them in the rankings for the last invite.
Oh my god.
So now Astralis have to play the MRQ, but you look at the teams in the MRQ and you're thinking, right, assuming that these guys who are allegedly on 30 to 40k a month salary, they surely have enough in the tank to beat these teams. They go 2-1, lose to Metasport. I think it was Metasport.
Yeah.
Lose to Metasport for the spot in the major.
That's just a Swedish org, isn't it?
Just like, yeah, a bunch of like ex-NIP players.
Yeah.
Like, so they lose that, go down to 2-2, then they beat Big to go to 3. So you get to 3-2. But the way the MRQs work, if you go 3-2, you go to the third place qualifier. So they then have to face Bait.
Mm-hmm.
They have to face Bait, which again is like a random Ukrainian stack with like ex-NIP player head trick, a player called Nipple. Like I'm dead serious. And not only do they get beat 2-1, but in the last round, where Astralis needed to win to take it to double overtime, they lose a 1v3 against some guy called Alex666, who like no one has never heard of, because they all decide
this is just a pub, man. Like, they're just playing a pub.
Like, it's like everything that could have went wrong for Astralis could have went wrong, and it did happen. And man, I felt so bad for Device, because on the last map he gets like 36 kills and like he's doing everything, and he's not been in a major since 2021. Astralis haven't been to a major since Antwerp 2022.
Oh my gosh.
Like, obviously they're the teams with the most major wins. Like, if you've not watched Counter-Strike since 2022, or if you only watched the majors since 2022, I should say, you don't know who Device is. And
oh my god,
you're
that's
sort of not,
crazy.
You're not like really aware of Astralis, which is like fascinating.
That's like finding out that Cleopatra exists closer to now than she did to the building of the pyramids. Like,
yeah,
that's the same vibe.
And yeah, like, there was rumours yesterday that I personally don't subscribe to, but you have to sort of talk about them. Like, there was rumours that like Astralis are very close to bankruptcy, because the sticker money is sort of, they've not had it for 5 majors in a row, and they've spent money on players. They pay very well. They pay very good salaries. Obviously they sold their LEC spot a few years ago for, what was it, upwards of 20 million, from what I heard. But so I don't really subscribe to the idea that they're on the verge of bankruptcy. But
yeah, weren't they selling more shirts than the Danish national team? Wasn't that what they claimed?
I could absolutely believe that, but maybe not in recent years. But I think what sort of made everyone sort of even happier about this is, over the years, Astralis have made a habit of bringing in young players and being like, well, yeah, you know, they're the next big thing. They're gonna be everything. And when things don't go well, who do they point the finger at? It's always the young players.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, Bro COVID-19. If you remember, Bro.
I do.
Yeah. Bro got through to the major with NRG over in NA, and Buzz got through with OG. So there are a couple of those young players that Astralis have pointed the finger at making the major.
Vindication!
Which I think a lot of people are very happy with. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my god.
So
this is some spicy drama, my god.
Like, I just look at the teams that Astralis like we're up against in this MRQ, and it's like, yeah, I think in the next few days they'll bench Cadian. And I
Really?
think, yeah,
Okay.
I think he's done. I think, to be honest, he's done in top level Counter Strike. He failed with Liquid, failed with Astralis. I don't think he gets another chance because he's
Yeah,
looked
I mean,
so bad.
the fall from grace has been quite spectacular, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's I think he's like 28, 29. He's had to play in a new game.
That's
It's,
young.
not in Counter Strike. It's
Not in
not.
Counter Strike, isn't it?
No, he is unk in Counter Strike. He is washed. Is the idea. But yeah, I think they'll bench down as well, but I think that'll be in a few months. I think they'll go again. I think they'll get hooksies, to be honest with you. I think that's the solution that makes sense. Assuming they don't immediately fold, but that's not what I'm hearing.
Imagining that they don't do an ITB here or just just
Yeah.
peace out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, because I guess this does segue me quite nicely into Lee. There is some drama on Valorant.
Mm-hmm.
Run us through it.
I might kick off just with the most outrageous one first. That is where I've maybe got a bit of a hot take. It's on it's around Safe's hot mic blooper, and basically my hot take is that he had absolutely nothing to apologize for publicly. There was no need for a public apology. What's basically happened is, I assume they do this. It's the same in Counter Strike. Like when they show the replays, occasionally they'll show a replay of just the player's reaction and what they were saying in the middle of a round or a tense moment. Yeah. And it's happened a couple of times on the at least I've noticed it on the EMEA VCT broadcast. A couple of times you'll get the odd swear word that they'll show in the replay, and the casters are always a bit like, oh, shit, they shouldn't have probably included that. But somehow they've shown a replay of Safe, who is Team Vitality's IGL, in a match they were playing against Team Heretics and they were losing. And he's clearly just trying to say like anything to lighten the mood and kind of get his stop, make sure they don't tilt or nothing. So he sits there and he goes, oh, guys, if we win this match, my mum will give us all expletive sexual act that rhymes with slow slob, and for some reason they've shown a replay of this on the broadcast.
Wow.
Like absolutely mental.
That I did not see that coming. Genuinely didn't see that coming. My God.
Who was the production company? Like which
Riot. It's Riot's. Like they run the broadcast. It's out of their Berlin studio. It was the Riot run EMEA league, and yeah, they've shown this replay of him saying that. Obviously, it's like gone all over Twitter and everything. Just the fact, not even from what I saw, to be fair, people weren't even like. I didn't really see people annoyed at Safe or thinking he'd done something terrible. Obviously, it was a weird thing to say, especially to say us as well, not even just his teammates. But yeah, what kind of happened then is like basically a week later, not much more. It looked like it'd been said about it, and then he just came out basically with a public apology, just saying like, I didn't really plan on addressing this, but I just want to apologize for what I said in that match. I wouldn't ever want to disrespect my own mother and all this. But I just think it's crazy. I'm assuming he must have been getting some backlash, like somewhere for him to have said it, or maybe I don't even know. Maybe his team felt like he had to say something. But
I imagine the org probably wasn't very happy about that, right?
Yeah, I'd guess so. But like, yeah, from my perspective, like, I can understand if he feels like he should apologize to his mum for saying that.
Yeah.
In which case, he can just obviously give her a ring and quickly do that. I did not see any reason why there was a need for him to do a public apology. I'm guessing he's had to have had pressure from somewhere to do that. But clearly, the blame for that being broadcast is on the broadcast, and there's been like obviously no word from the broadcast or from Riot about it. They, I imagine, wouldn't want to draw any more attention to it than as it's already had. But clearly, that's their fuck up. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I think if we're never ever going to exist in a world where esports people are PC all the time. Like that's never going to happen.
Hmm.
And the best we can do is just not broadcast it, as you say. Like I mean, it's it's not a great thing to say, obviously, but there is not one person who has ever played a game of an esport that hasn't heard worse.
Hmm. And I can imagine there's been a million things said in those games in the studio, probably as bad as that, or even worse, like just more weird, not even just weird, but just like worse things in general. But obviously they know not to show it. Clearly it's an accident, like so, I don't know, it's just slipped through. Someone maybe hasn't quite understood what he said. I don't know how it would have happened exactly, but yeah, it was just the craziest kind of drama, like just the most mental thing for someone to say. And I just thought it was kind of outrageous that he's got to a point that he's felt the need to apologise to it publicly when he's done nothing wrong to the public. It was not something that was intended to be seen by the public, and it doesn't offend anyone except for his own mum. So yeah, very weird on that.
Yeah.
Keeping on the drama then, I guess we're talking about EDG. This is just a drama show now, isn't it? I think we're not even talking about news
If
so
there's a
much.
lot of drama in esports,
Yeah.
then that is the
That's
news, I
it.
guess.
True. But yeah, what's happened over in China? So EDG, they're the champs winners from last year. So just a few months ago, they won the biggest tournament in Valorant. They've kept their team together, which most people would do if they win the biggest tournament. So you run it back, you keep the same 5-man team, and they don't even been doing that badly, I don't think. Like they were at Masters Bangkok. I think they finished third at Masters, which was the first global event. Obviously not as good as winning the previous World Championship. So I guess they want improvement. So what's happened is like a month ago, it was rumored they were doing some scrims with having dropped one of their players, Simon, and they were scrimming with someone else. Then like a week after that, he was dropped in the actual matches, like in the on-stage matches, and he was just like seen as being like subbed out basically, but he was like meant to still sort of be around as like a 6-man thing. But then he dropped. I think he was like on stream or something, and he's dropped a chat history of him and the team's manager of just this massive argument, which if you've been dropped, unless there's a smoking gun in there, it doesn't look great that you would be leaking stuff yourself anyway. It's probably not a good look. But basically what that argument was, it's like a back and forth of him being told that he was, his coaches had told him that he needs to be practicing better. He needs to be trying certain agents that they've told him to practice, and he's not been doing it. And he told them that he did. He told them that they didn't, the coaches didn't tell me this stuff, and you're lying to me. And it was just like, it was literally just like high school drama kind of stuff, like him just flat out saying, no, you're a liar, I didn't do this, blah blah blah. But then what's happened to make it even kind of more explosive is that all of his other teammates, I think literally every single one of them has come out publicly against him as well. So it's not even like they've not even I know sometimes someone might be on stream and they'll throw a little thing, or they'll subtweet or anything. No, these guys all were like very clearly against him, talking about doing things like, you'll go on stream and say all this stuff. You're not how come you're never this talkative in scrims and you're always silent when we're in our matches? People saying he just sits on his phone during the matches. One of their players, Kang, had the line, and to be fair, this is all translated from like Mandarin presumably into English, so sometimes the translations might look weird. But after this big paragraph of going all in against him, he says, I'll say one more thing. I give it to you before and I'll give it to you now. There are many talented people, and only by seizing the opportunity can you go further. How many people die in their 20s and regret it for the rest of their lives? Like this.
Oh, I think that's a mistranslation.
Maybe, but even if it's the hint of it is in there, these guys are like not holding back against him. Like they are publicly like very much denouncing him. And there's been even more to it. Like apparently like they even though they dropped him, they did expect him to be a 6-man and act as a 6-man. So, for example, like he was meant to turn up to the matches on match day and be there for meet and greets and stuff like this. Apparently, he just like had flat out refused and was like, "No, if I'm not playing, I'm not turning up."
Wow. Because you'd think that would be like a contractual obligation, right? They always have
You'd
to do
assume so.
media.
Yep. So he's just like flat out rejected to do anything around that if he's not playing. But I mean, if it must be contractually obliged, and if he's not doing it, he's the next step is I guess he's not getting paid, or they can rip up the contract. That depends if they'd want to, but the thing is they're not actually doing bad either. Like they're I think they're top of their group right now in stage 1 in China. So on in game they're all right. I mean, he's not even playing, so fuck it. If he's going to burn all the bridges with him, they're just presumably he's just going to get dropped permanently, and then they'll just keep going, and he's just out of a job.
Which is pretty much the only way that anyone ever resolves esports drama, right? You just leave the team, you join another one, job's a good one. Like,
and I mean, imagine like you get dropped. Well, yeah, you get benched, and they tell you, right, we bring this other guy in. We're not happy with how you've trained or whatever. Even if you don't agree with it, you're on the world championship winning team. Presumably, you would want to try and make it work. I can't think if I wanted to try and fix things like that my first move would be stream and publicly reveal the whole argument and just go DEFCON 1 or whatever, or I don't know how the levels work. But yeah, it's just mental. Clearly he's not going to play, so he's just fucked himself, I think. And any other org, I mean, would you want to touch a player like that afterwards, Eva?
I was going to say, like, is there already any rumours about where he's going next, or is that like just a long way away at this point?
Yeah, I mean, we're like kind of in the middle of stage 1 at the moment. Well, we're not even really in the middle. We're towards the end of the groups and about to go into playoffs. So it's just not even really the time where people would make changes much. So I don't know. Yeah, no idea.
I guess we'll probably find that out after Toronto or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Yeah, because as you say, like you just wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. Like, would you say that he's good enough to get away with this sort of stuff?
That's what I was going to ask, because there are
Yeah.
some players where the talent is just undeniable.
Yeah.
And you just sort of take the bad with the good. But is that not the case with S1Mon?
I don't actually watch China much. I'm gonna have a look at the stats and just form my opinion in the next 30 seconds, as all good analysts would do.
Very good.
I mean, we could probably talk for hours about how they're not doing streams in English. It's kind of a nightmare.
Mm-hmm. At least the last few series he played were like fine. I mean, he didn't. Yeah, he's had a dodgy game here and there, but I mean, nothing stands out like either way. To be fair.
Oh, okay. Yes, let's do the mythical voice of the faceless Andrew.
What's up, guys? It's the producer here. I wake up to watch China as part of the weekly recap that you would have seen on screen. EDG have been honestly pretty good. They looked a little shaky early on because they lost to Nova, but Nova kind of just went on a heater, and after losing to DRG, beat everyone. So they went from a team that might have squeaked into 4th place to a team that was actually running the groups for a while. So all in all, EDG looked fine. They always hit one speed bump every single season domestically, but they're kind of back on the kind of form you'd expect from them. So they're probably not going to miss Toronto, in all honesty.
Interesting. I know it. I imagine S1Mon will, though.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's honestly, I feel like I'm watching reality TV sometimes. Just like there is less drama on Love Island than there is with this. Alrighty. So, do you have Anything else for me here, Lee? I'm looking. I'm thinking.
We've got a
Boom
few
Sports
bits.
here.
Yeah, there's a few quick ones we could rattle off as well. And so Boom over in Pacific, and this is kind of it's a good one, a good parallel with G2 in Americas as well, where we basically got two teams in each of those leagues, well, one respective team in each of those leagues, that are both Ascension teams. So if you remember in Valorant, each of the 4 main regions, the majority of the teams are partnered. So there are, I think, 10 teams in each league that are partnered. So their slot is like basically guaranteed. And then there's 2 teams that are promoted, and then they have to perform well enough to not get relegated, basically, and have a new team come up. So the teams that are not partner teams can stay there if they do well enough. Obviously, the tricky thing is like the teams that have been there longer would have been getting the stipend that they get from Riot for a couple of years. So it's like it's kind of built in a way where it favors the partner teams that it should be easy enough for them to be better than the Ascension teams. But yeah, you've got in Americas, you've got G2, who obviously is just a massive org in general. Like they're not, they know how to build good teams and win titles. And obviously the only reason they weren't a partner team in Americas in the first place was the whole Carlos, Andrew, Tate stuff that happened right as Riot were making the decisions on the partnership team. So they missed out on that. They did end up getting there. Yeah, they did end up getting there via Ascension. And now they're absolutely flying. So they are like on form, like the best team clearly in Americas. They went to Bangkok as well. They were really good at Bangkok too. So they're absolutely smashing it. And then over in Pacific, you've got Boom Esports, who another Ascension team. Their one's a bit funnier though. So in kickoff, they didn't look like really anything decent. In kickoff, it was like a double elimination, like a Swiss bracket, I think. They lost their first 2 games, and you lose 2 when you're out. So that was it. They turned up for the new season, lost 2 series. That was it. That was them done. And then a couple of months later, they've come up for stage 1, and now they're just like absolute world beaters. So if you look at their group on the left-hand side there, they got a bloody hard group as well. DRX were kickoff winners. So, they should be top of the group in theory. Gen G has got like a lot of their roster from last year, where in 2024 there was like talk of, is Gen G the best roster that's, the best Valorant team ever? They're not as good this year, but they've still got a lot of the same players. Like, they're still not bad. Paper Rex were pretty rubbish in kickoff. They've still got a lot of players from like this core that's been one of the best Pacific team for years. So they were in this group, like the group of death, basically. And you would have thought maybe they'd be fighting for the 4th place for playoffs. But as you see, they're absolutely smashing it. And Paper X, weirdly, are like Paper X just won their last series, which has kind of given them a lifeline. But Paper X is a really weird one this season as well, where again, they've got this core of players that have been together for years. They went to something ridiculous, like 9 global events in a row that they qualified for, until Masters Bangkok this year. That was like the first one for years that they didn't make. Where just a couple of losses in kickoff, but it's funny because a lot of the stuff with Paper X this year is kind of explainable. Like in kickoff, they lost to T1 as one of their 2 losses. T1 ended up finishing 2nd and then won Masters Bangkok. So you can kind of say, well, they lost to like one of the top 2 teams in Pacific, not the end of the world. I think they had a loss to like DFM in kickoff as well, which is like their one actual kind of bad loss. But then now in stage 1, they're also in the group of death. So they've lost to Gen G. They've lost to Boom, who have now been smashing everybody. So they basically went 0-3 in stage 1, which put them basically on the point where like they almost have to win their last 2 series to make it to playoffs. Otherwise, if they miss playoffs, they don't play until like July. So they basically would have wasted like more than half their season already by losing to teams that are mostly like really good as well, where it's kind of looked a bit harsh. But yeah, they've just picked up a win. I think I forget which of the bottom 2 they beat. They beat one of the other bottom 2, and then they've got the other one as their last match. So in theory now they should be, as long as they don't have a disaster. Yeah, as long as they win the match that they should win now, they'll be all right and might be able to turn it around. But
Good.
it's crazy.
I mean, that is crazy, and I'm also very glad to hear it. I have a very soft spot for Boom Esports because of Dota, so I'm happy to see that their Valorant roster is doing better than their Dota roster.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I think we've had just about as much drama as I can possibly take in one morning. We got a lot to digest here. I'm gonna hit you guys with the like and subscribe, comment down below things that you liked. Feel free to disagree with us and argue in the comments. Just, don't tell us things that your mother is gonna do. Thank you guys so much, and yeah, we'll be back next week.
Yep. See ya.